everybody. Gina Cavalier, the Liberated Healer podcast, and have a very special guest today, Stephen A. Ross, Ph.D. He's going to tell us a little bit about himself. And this is actually not a background if you're watching it in video. This is his actual library. Very impressive, I might say. So welcome, Stephen. Thank you for being with us today.
Gina, thank you very much. And I want to tell you, I never take these interviews for granted. I appreciate you allowing me to share with people.
Oh, and, it's my pleasure. And always, welcoming of other people and their conversations. And, that's just how we elevate kind of our whole utopia community that we're trying to build here through love and information. And, the people that do get to be on the show with me, I'm so grateful for. And I know that we have a spiritual connection. And the people that listen, I get a lot of feedback saying, we're very connected, in this world. And so I appreciate that. So you have a wide range of great skills in this area. Can you just give us a brief description of who you are and kind of your foundational teachings or, what you're passionate about? And then we have some specific areas we want to get into.
Sounds good.
Okay.
My journey really has had two streams. One has been the health, one has been spirituality. I was on an athletic scholarship at my university in California, University at Northridge, and I sustained a knee injury because a gardener had left a sprinkler head in a running track. And right when I was coming down in my full stride, I saw the sprinkler head and I tried to avoid it, stretched out my leg even more and really tore my knee up. I crawled to the trainer's room and the school called the coach for the Rams, Dodgers, and Lakers, Dr. Curlin, who examined me and said I'd either have surgery or I couldn't run again. Now, for a second opinion, I was sent to UCLA. I am so old that Kareem Jabbar, the basketball player, was playing at college. Ducky Drake, the trainer, said, "You're going to have surgery." Well, dejectedly, I went back to my trainer's room on crutches. There was a Popular Mechanics magazine sitting next to the whirlpool. I opened it up, read about a technique in Europe. This was 1968. Call up Dr. Curlin. Will this work for me? No, that's holistic garbage. That's not going to work. There's no way. Well, Gina, I missed 5 weeks of training. I was doing this technique. And I ran again, and that year finished 5th in the United States for 100 meters. And I wondered, why did these experts say something wasn't going to work? What other things exist in this world that you and I are not informed about? And so I began traveling around the world and finding what health techniques we don't know about in this country. And as you can see, as you said, visually, there are 20,000 volumes here dating to the 1400s on a variety. And I'm not going to talk too long, but my spiritual path, 4 years after that, or 1972, I met a Native American who told me all my future guidance would come in my dreams. And I remember laughing because I didn't always recall my dreams. But 1 week later, and it took a week because every night I was going, I'm going to go to sleep. I'm going to have dreams. So finally, I was so tired. When I finally went to sleep, I had a dream. Because of that dream, I followed through. I ended up having 5 and 6 dreams every night for the next 3 months on every phase of my personality, my likes and dislikes. And so that was my resonance with the spiritual world, with spirits, with dreams. So in this library are also thousands of books on esoteric, alchemy, spirituality. And so these are the two streams that have guided me to where I am
today. That sounds amazing. I'd love to spend some time in your library one day. you really look very healthy and fit. You know, it's I think, you know, for a lot of the spiritual people, the people have moved into spirituality and become more connected. You there's sort of a relationship that you really want to start taking care of your body.
Yes.
You start to understand that um, and I'm writing, and a lot of people know about this. I'm writing a book about healing suicidal ideation with the Swedenborg Foundation, and I shared that with you, and you have a whole
Yes.
section on Swedenborg there, which I was very excited about. And I'm doing my own collection, by the way. But this reconnecting ourselves and appreciating the magic of this whole interesting, all these systems, you know, and that's what I'm trying to instill in with people, that, you know, the supercomputer and the synapses to make it all work, and our soul, our spirit, the all the information that we are, that we're even here, and
Yes.
you know, walking this, being able to do the things with whatever our abilities are, right? We all have specific things that we're here to do, but that's what I believe is, when I'm teaching people, you know, how to heal suicidal ideation, is learning how important and beautiful and magical all that stuff is. And then you don't want to leave. You
Right.
really, people are like, you know, I'm going into the details about in the book about how I healed it, but really, I don't want to leave anymore at all. This is so special. I'm so lucky to be here. It's the
Um,
journey to get my soul here today and to sit in
yes.
this chair and to talk to you. What a gift. I would never take that away now. And that's healing. So um what do you,
Yes.
yeah.
No, I mean, I agree with you. And I've had a philosophy for 30 years, and I call it LEFL, LEFL. It stands for laughter, excitement, fun, and love. So when I've done counseling over my last 50 years, I check the people's levelometer. I'll do it like this. I'll go, when was the last time you laughed? And they'll go, laughed. I said, what do you do for excitement? Well, my work. No, your work has given you an ulcer or pressure. What do you do for fun? Work again. No, that. And then I asked, do you have some passion, something for the love? So when someone's devoid in their levelometer, one of those, they're generally not doing well physically. But when I come across people with great sense of humor, Gina, who just go, oh, I may not have a lot of material things, but I just love being alive. You're right. They are the people who are healthy. They're feeling good. And again, I've worked with maybe tens of thousands of people now, great philosophers throughout the world. They have wonderful sense of humor.
Yeah.
They know how to laugh. And most of the time, people who are having the health challenges, it can be work, it can be spouses, it can be family, whatever it is. That doesn't have to be taken away. It just has to be understood. This is a part of life, and the more that people can appreciate that life is a schoolroom with opportunities to grow, they seem to be doing better.
I love the Leffel. Uh
Leffel,
Leffel. So LEFL. Laugh.
laughter, excitement, fun, and love.
And that is easy to kind of remember and to think of. I use the word excitement a lot when I'm trying to, you know, specifically, you know, another part of healing suicidal ideation is finding your life purpose or your life passion, or what makes you jump out of bed, right? And
Yeah.
that's hard sometimes for our modern people, because we grew up in a place wherever we were born, maybe, and it's not really has it's hard to find the things that, you know, say if you're born in New York in the city, but you really, you know what I mean, or
Yes.
you're born into the father's job and now you're doing their job because, but you're really passionate about it. Not saying that we all have accountability and bills and things we have to take care of, but when you do have extra time, can you find that something that makes you excitement, and you have to weigh it out. You have to say, I
Yes.
can either go to the movies or I can draw a painting or whatever. But which one makes you the most excited? It's kind of easy.
Yes, when the way you've stated it is exactly right. Uh, just before we started, I mentioned to you, I have found that people just don't trust their own self. They're too dependent on their friends, their family, their environment, what's expected of them. And where the trust part comes in is if you have an inkling to try something or to do it, somebody might do it, except that little voice goes, oh no, these people are going to think I'm crazy. They're going to think I'm stupid. They're going to think there's something the matter with me. That inkling that they first had before the little negative voice popped in is the passion. It is that soul kind of wrestling around and saying, boy, we can have a much better life, a much happier life if we pursue this. Now, that same part may say every day you drive home from work, you turn right, you turn right, you turn right. And one day something inside goes, turn left. Well, that is this guidance mechanism, our own higher physician, teacher, philosopher, our oversoul, our overself, directing us to a happier existence in this plane if we just listen to it and follow through. Trust, trust. You know, it's not uncommon for me to have met people who will tell me this story, generally 60 or 70 years old. The doctor gave me a whole bunch of pills. I wasn't feeling well. I was getting worse, so I flushed them down the toilet. But when I went back to my doctor, I was really feeling well, and the doctor said, oh, you're really looking good. All of those things must have helped. Well, I'm not saying just to dump everything, but what I am saying is the person had an inkling. They had an inkling that something would be better. Now, there's an old great story I like about a 92-year-old man who went to get a medical exam because he wasn't doing well. And the doctor examined him. Now, 3 weeks later, the doctor happened to be in the neighborhood and saw the man with an incredibly beautiful young woman on his arm. And he didn't meet him at that time, but when he returned for the next office visit, he said, gee, you're really doing well. And the man says, well, I followed all of your advice. I got a hot mama and I'm doing wonderful. And the doctor said, that's not what I told you. I said, you have a heart murmur and be careful. I didn't tell you, I didn't tell you to get out, mama, and be cheerful. So because the man believed that that's what the doctor said, just believed what the doctor said, he was already doing well.
Yeah, and he found some love, and that's.
Some
And
love.
we all want to be loved. That's our first language. Our
Yeah.
universal language. But I think it's interesting because I was just talking to my co-author, Dr. Amelia Kelly, and she wrote a book about gaslighting. We were talking about medical gaslighting. So you're kind of like in a more spiritual way, sort of kind of hitting on that.
Yeah.
But I just always find it interesting because I always have a theme in my podcast for the week, and they always connect. It's so interesting. It's very. That's why I was saying in the beginning is this podcast, this show, everybody who's ever here, we're all just it's seemingly connected in such a beautiful way.
Well,
And
I would like to share along that for not only the people seeing my nonprofit, the World Research Foundation, where these books are, collects all kinds of information on natural, holistic, complementary techniques. Now, my advisory board, I've had Bjorn Nordenstrom was the chairman of the Nobel Assembly. Jim
okay,
Logan, the head physician for NASA's first stage space programs. And the reason I'm sharing that is We know standard medicine, but there's a whole world of other options and possibilities. And I think the most frustrating in life, also with not having some passion or love, is not having options. When somebody's moved into a corner, whether it's health or whatever, legal, business, when you don't have options, that puts a strain. So, one of the secrets is finding as many options as you can, which will resonate with your being. And when you're talking about the gaslighting in medicine, medicine, Orthodox medicine has its place, but there are other possibilities that people should always explore to see, well, what are their options? In our society, I use this analogy. If a fly lands on the table, you could use a wrecking ball that knocks down buildings. Maybe you'll get the fly, but you'll destroy the table. Or you
Yeah.
could use a baseball bat. Maybe you'll get the fly, but you're going to damage the table. Or you're going to use a fly swatter. We in the natural holistic start with the fly swatter, and if you need more, you work your way up. Standard medicine starts with the building wrecker. We're going to lop off the breast. We're going to do this. It starts here. So there are times when you need it. I don't want anybody to get me wrong,
Yeah.
but you got to trust yourself and go, wait a minute, gosh, this seems a little harsh for me, or it's too much.
Mhm.
Trust ourselves.
Yeah, because I always liken it to where we're working with spirit and they're trying to get our attention, right? And I liken it to there's like a window pane between our, and our spirit is almost like a little bird, like tick tap 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 tap, just trying to get our attention, like you said, turning left or turning right. And there might be, and so I just want to mention your site, which is the WRF.org, where there's a bunch of free information in there. You have men and women medical articles, because you've went really down some deep rabbit holes of ancient wisdom, and that's really hard to do. So what I'm saying here is that you've kind of done some of the work and to condense some of this information so people don't have to have the giant library that you have.
Yes.
They can go and find some of this ancient wisdom that you've broken down, and what happens is when you read that stuff, you'll know right away, oh, this isn't resonating, and I move to the next one. Or you
Yeah.
know what, somehow my soul is very connected to this information, and just even connecting in a deeper way with positive content that has been put out to heal and help people. It has energy and light around it in these words,
Yeah.
and just in reading that stuff is helping you lighten your soul and helping to let the darker stuff fall off. I, am I correct? Do you believe this thing that you're
Well,
saying?
I do 100%. And I will tell you, this last six years, when I've been working with people, here's what I ask them. Have you had your TV on all day? I don't care whether you're left, right, conservative. Oh, yes, yes. See, the politics is really making people ill. It's
Yeah,
making them completely ill because here's what I always say. What candidate is talking about beauty? Who is talking about love? Who is talking about art? Who is talking about nature? We're falling away from the natural environment which you're talking about. It's appreciating the birds flying. I'm looking out my window right now. There has to be 10 shades of green here, which is lush and beautiful. This room here, when I built it and before these books came in, the music played 24 hours a day for the first 7 years. When it was completely empty, I had classical music on a 300 CD player, 24 hours a day,
yeah.
7 years to set the intent, the environment. So your listeners should ask themselves, what is influencing my environment?
Yeah.
What is around? Have I gone away from the beautiful music? Because as soon as I wake up, I'm off doing this, I'm off doing that, I'm criticizing, I'm getting on Facebook, I found a negative article, I sent it to somebody else. I will venture to say when we cross out of this plane, I guarantee you, no spirit in review is going to say, "What political party were you during your life?" Here's what's going to be: who did you cross paths with,
Mm.
and with each step, were you planting flowers or
Yes.
creating groundswells?
Wow, and I think that's interesting because I just saw the trailer for The Killer of the Flower Moon. And because I was in entertainment for a really long time, and as I was a kid, I loved movies and stories and stuff. And I mean, I really have not loved I've gotten out of the entertainment business a lot because how they treat the people in the business, but also about the content that they're putting out, and the darkness and the extra. We don't need an Exorcist, another Exorcist movie, and
Right.
things like that. But I saw The Killer of the Flower Moon, and just the trailer brought me to tears. I was like, I'm gonna have to go see this movie by myself because I'm gonna cry. And I haven't gone to a theater, in like 10 years because it's not my jam anymore. But I want to see this in the theater because it's look what we did to the natives. We have to really look also about our past and where we can change things.
Yeah.
But where we're missing it, and like what you were saying, is the people that used to be our leaders of our community. They embraced every single person that was in the community. If you needed medicine, people would energetically look at something. They showed us flowers, they showed us, we had ritual, we would dance together, and
Yeah.
I think that this is the basis of what people are really it's a depression. We are in not I don't know about economy. We're in a depression of spirit, a
Yeah.
depression, and it's from the content, the negative. Who has ever gotten into a fight over the internet with a stranger that affected them the whole day? You know, that needs to change.
Amen.
That is going to stop progress in us as a world, as a community. And
Yes.
all you're trying to do is say, I know that I'm right and you're wrong. And that resistance of putting a stake in the ground that you're right. Now that's that person you're also, even if you're going to bring in sicknesses and things to yourself, because all that is just stuck, more stuck. But we also, going back to the leadership, I would love to see someone who's like has that warrior energy and they're a leader and they can. We do. It's great to have people that we can look up to, right? But
Yes.
with the like the way that the Chiefs we used to take care of their people,
Oh, yes.
they
Yes.
put out they had everybody's intention. We don't have anybody anymore. There's not one group of people that wants to bring in everybody. So we have to break it down so we can
Yes.
start again.
I just did my last post is the health technique of being thankful. It is a whole little article about the Native American and how they are thankful for everything in their life. And there's a health technique that is a part of. It is healthy. I've been watching, my wife and I have been looking at these pictures from the telescope that's launched. I don't remember right now.
James
It's
Webb.
like, yeah, it's like a cajillion billion galaxies and stars. And I look at that and I go, and we on this little dinky place are arguing about what? When all of this has been created, it's only 500,000 light years or a million light years away. And it's like, we think we know what after. It isn't that we should think of ourselves, okay, we're nothing, but we shouldn't be on the other side thinking how grandiose we know how to run this planet. It's like, I'm sorry, but I have to laugh because those same people that we're seeing talking, well, we don't see them at home taking medication. Probably we don't see the congressmen having to take pills to exist because they spend all day arguing and fighting. We don't need this. You are so right on, Gina. It's about community of respecting other people, love, and going back to values that we once had here before it was mine, 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 mine. You know, it's the old adage, fingers, hands closed, you can't receive anything.
Yeah.
When you're open and you follow spirit, I didn't say any religion, I'm saying the spirituality behind every religion on this planet,
Mm-hmm.
the guidance that's there. I often use this word, people are healthy who live in integrity. Now, what does integrity mean? It means that they are in, in integrity within their own self. What they believe, they act on. How they act is what they believe,
Yeah.
not this disjointed. Hey, I'm a Christian. I'm a this. I'm a theosophist. I'm a. It is the old days. Those philosophers didn't have a title. It was a lifestyle. You
Yeah.
don't live a lifestyle. I'm at this, I'm at that. Well, gosh, you're not acting like how the original people what they were doing. If it's living, working with other people, not I'm only going to spread mine with the people who believe like me. Well, that's not how the revelators and teachers were. Everybody was open. We were a human family.
Yeah. And I think it's interesting because the people that kind of live in that space for long periods of time, and then you have the energy of the intense money, um, you know, that those are the people that hold that energy of, and everybody that works for that, say that collective, whether it's a corporation or a brand or, and they have hundreds and hundreds of people or thousands of people that work with them, and the intense energy that comes from that, you usually are going to find those are the people that are breaking laws, just to guide themselves and to hurt other people, whether it's like environmental
But,
laws,
but
whatever.
Gina, but we have to be frank here, and that is the original revelators in virtually every religion laid their beautiful tenets. But as the time went on, the followers tried to keep the buildings there and to pay for whatever, and they've lost the meaning of what the original revelator was all about.
Yeah.
But because they can say, no, we're keeping the writings alive. But what you're doing to keep the buildings and the rent is may not be in integrity of what the original founder.
Yeah.
I'd mentioned the World Research Foundation is help, but for any of your listeners, my website of spirituality is called
Mhm.
lesscomplicated.net. And I'm only sharing that because I have to separate. World Research Foundation has great articles. It's all about alternative medicine. But for people who want to delve into spirituality, my less complicated, I write about people going back thousands of years with the very thing you and I are talking about, even spiritual contact. When I read about the channels in the 1800s with spirits, the spirits were talking about the beauty, the spiritual world, what you could expect. But now it's about how to win the girl, how to get a better job, how to get a car. Even the information coming through has changed because people don't want to hear about the beauty. They want to hear about how to get ahead, how to get something. And it's a change. And I think more people are ill today with all our technology. More people, why are more people ill today, Gina, than before?
I don't know. It's especially, you know in our society, in our modern society in America, and like UK. I mean, we have the most ill people. In places, maybe it's not less documented, but like in Cambodia, where I spent I think a couple weeks in Cambodia, And it they follow your system of laugh, excitement, fun, and love, and they have very few things. You know, actually, sometimes there will be like one television in a whole community, and at night they will all sit around and watch a game show or something. But they'll watch something funny usually. They're not gravitating towards the horrors. They live in horror a lot of the time. They have to figure
Right,
out where they're getting their water. But
right,
when someone falls in love and there's a marriage, I mean, they spend the entire week having ceremony and ritual,
right.
and the way that they appreciate, not all of them, but I'm saying in general, the food that they eat, and if they do have to eat animals, in the ritualistic fashion that they do, and in the honoring situation. I mean, I never saw more joy in Cambodia. And what I loved about Cambodia was right off the plains, they had billboards everywhere for Americans mostly, that their children are not their, toys. And
Yes,
that was what was different about Thailand. And what I didn't appreciate about, they actually like, do not touch our children, do not come here to touch our children. And
yes,
like that, and that's a very important thing to me. And it was like, this is our family. You're not having your fun here. And
yes.
and I think that's a big deal as well. But that's the letter of the law that they seem to have followed. And of course, I was like, oh, it'd be nice to have a couple more dresses or a couple more, and to eat better or to have more things. But I've never seen more joy in my life than in Cambodia.
No, you're right on. And if people will really analyze their life, a lot of people think, oh my gosh, I got struck down by this health challenge. Oh, woe is me. But very few people will look and go, hey, everything that comes in your life, you have brought into your own life. It
Yes.
didn't just appear out of nowhere. It is erroneous thinking. It's erroneous actions. It's going against the integrity. You know you should do this, but you did that, and the guilt just starts eating you up. Or you phrased it really well, Gina. God, I've got to have this because that person's got that, and I either have to have the same or I have to have something better. And then you go beyond your means. You take extra jobs, you do things you shouldn't do instead of being more content. And I don't want people to think I'm a Pollyanna. I don't know what's going on in the world. I don't want to hear about politics. No, we can't help but be bombarded by these things. We can't help having these TV shows shoving it in our face. This person has this, they have a big house, and people sit and go, oh my gosh, I wish I had a house like that. They don't know the lifestyle, what these people are going through.
Yeah.
It could be hellish in their lives, even though they appear to have money. It is being content. I believe you mentioned it a little bit earlier, being content with what we have, being grateful that, oh my gosh, we're not living in some place that's been flooded out and people are dead. We have an existence that can be nice if we believe it's nice. And here is a yogic story. A heavy duty businessman, heavy duty, wakes up one morning and he goes, what is the purpose of my life? What is it all about? He says to someone at work, oh, you got to go to the metaphysical bookstore. So the man goes to the bookstore. Where do I find out the purpose of life and why I'm here? Well, you need to go to Tibet and meet the yogis. So he goes right away. Wrong time of year, wasn't dressed well. He goes to sleep in snow. Well, he wakes up, the yogis are around him, and they said, what are you doing here? I've come for the secret of life. Have I come to the right place? Why am I here? No. No, you don't have it? They look at him and they go, where did you come from?
Yeah.
Oh, I came from New York, Chicago, Boston. That's where the answer is.
Oh my goodness.
It's always within you. It
Yeah.
isn't anywhere else. It's within our own selves. If we trust and we go higher, what's higher? Within our own self.
Yeah. What's higher than our own selves?
when you get right down to it, with about our own self, there is nothing higher. Our own, as Paul Breton called it, the oversoul, the overself. Emerson called it the oversoul. People have written about it. It's this higher aspect of ourself that is there. On the old temple walls, 3 admonitions: know thyself, know thyself, know thyself.
I love it. You know what's really interesting is I feel like in our modern times, we've actually, with all the technology that we have, we, we're smarter back then. You know what I mean? We had a more, in a way,
Resonance with nature. We
we
understood
had
the world.
we knew the answers to everything. And then where did this chunk of time go where we lost like the fundamentals of our the utopian society we had. I mean, we're not saying it wasn't rough, because in the Middle Ages and things like that, I mean, it
Yes.
there was a lot of debauchery and there was a lot of pain, but they had like a fundamental understanding of having to survive, having to. I mean, they didn't have suicide like that we have it now. In looking at the history of suicide, usually it was I'm really ill and I don't want to live this way any longer, or maybe their family member, their wife passed away, and that was only, it was very, the instances in suicide were so different and so rare. It But now, we're here because we're trying to help these people that are literally in their room not wanting to be here, wanting to leave their soul. Once
Yes.
that happens, you can't fix anything. That
Yes.
it's a period, exclamation point. It is over. There's no spirituality left there. I mean, you're done and that's gone. And as a society, we have to look at why that has happened. Yes, I mean, probably traumas, abuses, being awful to people in workplaces, bullying. I mean, we have a lot of work to do. And as long as we go in it but we can still, even with this heavy topics, we can still go in with your level. I
And,
mean, I'm talking about serious subjects, but I'm not
yes.
making them dark. We can,
And I am, even though I'm a triple Aquarius and I have fun and I give lectures with paper airplanes and water balloons talking about Plato, that doesn't mean that I don't take this in a serious manner of being lighthearted. It makes a difference. Now, what's technology good for? My iPhone here is holding, not going to the cloud, holding 8,000 books as well as 4,000 magazines on spirituality. I don't go to the cloud. There can be, I have it on the phone. For a librarian, it's unbelievable. And I'm still storing things. But technology, I wrote an article once. Does faster computers and fast cars make a society wise?
Mm,
You mentioned it earlier. In the past, there was a greater understanding, especially back in the days of the ancient Greeks, of the world and nature and the stars and integrating everything. And as we have moved along in society, we have fallen for these people. Go to Harvard and I say that this is the way the world is. Well, I'm from MIT and this is how it is. It's science, science. Science is the least stable of anything you can imagine. Every day they go, oh my gosh, we found another new particle and this theory doesn't work. And yet, the spirituality of the ancient Chinese, they laid out the entire acupuncture meridian system 4,000 years ago, right? Perfect. How did they do that?
yeah.
How did Pythagoras in his days know the distance from the earth to the moon within half a kilometer? We have lost that because we're depending on really false teachers, people who don't know. Now, I have a lot of techniques here. I have something called the Rife microscope, which was an incredible device from the 1930s. And people have written stuff on their posts and their internet sites, and people take from people, and it's all hogwash now. It is like this. When I was a young man, there was something called whispers. Teacher lined up everyone in the class in elementary school and whispered something in the first student's ear, and each student, and then when it came out at the end, it was garbage. And
Yeah.
that is what I believe today. Somebody goes and says, you know what? I'm going to be an expert. I'm going to set up my website. I took things from different places. Never mind, they don't do it themselves. And they set up shop and they sell courses and do things. They don't even know the history of the subject they're involved in because they
Yeah.
haven't taken the time to really know the fundamentals. Now, I'm not lashing out. Everybody is free to do what they want. I'm not the policeman of the world, but very few people will take the time to learn historically what is involved in their subject matter.
Yeah. And then you start with yourself. And what happens is, the way that I explain it is that you're like one drop of water in this pool of this ocean. So, you just, all you can really do is work with yourself. But as you do that, the more people that do that, that's why I called it the liberated healer. The liberated healer is not, I'm not the liberated healer. I want everyone to become their own version of the liberated healer, which is you get liberated through your own healing. You get liberated through your own information, and
Yeah.
liberation is just the word liberation is a great, that's why I love
Freeing.
words.
It's freeing.
Yeah,
It's freeing.
free.
Liberated.
We're
Freeing.
not attached to all these rules and things that bring us down and stuff. So um I forgot what my point was right there,
Oh,
but
sorry. Sorry.
can we just quickly dive into dreams, because this is a fascinating topic, and I'd love to just get a little bit into how we can use our dreams to help us manifest, the life we want, or
Yes.
communicate with our spirit.
Yes. Well, the dreams go back to very, very ancient times. And we have the first book ever printed on dream interpretation. It's from 1539, but it is a reprint of a book written in 200 AD. And dreams have been used and analyzed over thousands of years. I've written a book called A Grand Design of Dreams because I've recorded my dreams over 50 years and realized that there was a design to the dreams. Now, people get a dream and they'll interpret it, and maybe another day they'll interpret this. Well, when I looked over the wide span of years, I went, wait a minute, these dreams have topics. So I put them into my own personal topics of life and the meaning. And I go, oh my God, there's a design here. I would have 6 dreams a night. I would never open my eyes. I would wake up. I had a yellow pad. I would write the dream, turn a page, write, go to sleep, wake up, be fully refreshed, and read what's there. Well, after a while, I just had phone numbers, just telephone number. And I remember first time was I was 24, and I go, well, what am I going to do with this? So here's how clever I go. I'll call in and ask if Bill's there. So I call up the number, and they say, I said, is Bill there? They said, Steve, we're waiting for you.
What?
You see all this?
Yeah.
For those people who can see, we have something for you. And I would go to that part of the world and was given parchments, rare healing devices, log books, the world of spirit, the world of dreams. People don't know the capabilities that are there because if it's not in your frame of awareness, you don't think it's possible. So, my book is not a book of how to interpret the symbols. My God, there's like 10,000 books. It is about understanding there's a grand design. And one day, Gina, I had a dream. I was laying in a chair, like a barber's chair or a dental chair, and I heard people behind me going, what dreams should we give Stephen tonight? And then I heard them say things, and I had those dreams that night. It was like, so I call it my dreamer. So there is much more, and dreams have guided me all over this planet for the last 50 years to go to this place, go there, and a reoccurring dream like this. I'm in, strangely enough, I'm in a library. There's a line of people, a podium at the front with a man. I get to the front. I look up. We would now like you to study Giuseppe Caligaris, Paracelsus, names I never heard of. And then I would go out, and I've spent my life acquiring everything I could
Wow.
on that person.
You're going to be a really good ascended master once you leave the planet.
You know what? I'm a goofy Aquarius. I'm an
Aquarius
Aquarian.
too.
Really?
Yeah.
That is, of course you are, Gina.
I know. My rising is a Leo, so I think that gives me my little challenge personality.
Well, you know, it's funny because my sun is in Aquarius, my moon is in Aquarius, Mercury's in Aquarius, Mars is in Aquarius. So,
how did you ever stay grounded enough?
well, that's the thing. I've got a Scorpio rising, so
Okay.
it's just enough to tether me down from just floating through the dome in the building here.
So, do we work with other spirits in our dreams? If you are dreaming about somebody, is that both of our, I know this is like getting into the weeds, but I just find that this is a question everybody would want to know about dreams. Are we doing spiritual work with those people, or is that just something like our subconscious is trying to work out something with that person?
Well, all of that, because
Okay.
there's a multitude of different dreams. In my dreams, I've been shown my past lives, and I knew it was me because I could see the eyes and recognize it. Other times, they're the subconscious giving me symbols. At other times, it's direct contact. It's like a conduit. It's like your telephone line. You may have got your telephone because you had your best girlfriend or you like somebody and you talk and talk, but that phone line is open. The spiritual world has said the greatest gift human beings have given is their imagination.
Yeah.
The magic nation. The dreams allow us to have no boundaries. And what are the communications from? They're from other existences. They're from our parallel livings, all happening simultaneously. They're from our subconscious. It is a conduit where much information from many areas. Now, I have the advantage, you're a young lady. I have the advantage of being on this planet 75 years. And I look back and go at 50 years of dreams and go, wow, there was a design to this. There was communication. There were symbols. But the greatest thing I can remember, I was brought up in a non-religious family, but they were spiritual. My mom and dad, very open. And because of that, they said, well, you're free to go to any church or synagogue or temple. You can be whatever you want. If you can tell us why you want to be that, you're free to do that. Well, that was good, but I went through a phase where I go, gosh, I don't really have a conception of God. It's very difficult. And one day I have this dream, and it is, I have a sports background. Why don't you just call him coach? I go, I got chills now. I can do that. That was my frame of reference, Gina. Coach, can you help me? Can you give me information?
Yes, it doesn't have to be such a
Dogmatic, boom, sitting in a chair. He's in there. If you do good stuff and you believe with us, you're going to sit on the right hand of Jesus or God. That's belief systems. More power to people, but there's other people who think there's a little bit more We are responsible for what we do here. It isn't a matter at your last dying breath you profess in someone's name and everything is forgiven. It is about living life, being conscious of others to your highest and best nature.
Yes, and that's really valuable, wonderful information. I wanted to see. We are getting ready to wrap up. It's almost gone.
Yeah.
An hour has gone by so fast. I can't believe it. Is there anything or any messaging that you'd love to leave our community with today?
Gina, thank you for that. My message is to trust yourself, to know that there is nobody else on this planet like you, that you have access to the highest and best. Paracelsus, the great alchemist, talked about we have a foci, F-O-C-I, everything that exists in the outer world and universe, we are connected to inside. There is no greater teacher than your own self. So trust yourself. That's what I want to leave with the listeners. And know when you meet these people on the podiums and have written the books and you go, oh my gosh, that person is a master. They're just remember this. You have as much knowledge as them. At this moment, they may be more aware, but ultimately, they don't have access to anything greater than you and I. And Gina, thank you for giving me this time.
Oh, thank you. I really feel that energy in that space, and like you said, choosing to play music in your space versus, like you were saying, having just a bunch of noise in the background, with, just elevating the energy and, trying to figure out ways that like help us get through the hard times. Cause we're going to have some hard times. That's our experience that we've chosen to have here. And
But never mind having a big room like this, create a space in your home, people.
yes,
Have a chair, put something of great value to you, whether it was your favorite book or a statue. Doesn't have to be fancy, just
yeah,
something there. That is your space.
I love it. Yes. I mean, I definitely have that in mind. Thank you so much, Stephen. And we'll link everything into below if you want to find ways to connect with Stephen on his different sites that we mentioned here today. We're sending you lots of love and happiness and blessings and anything
And
that you
leffel to
and
everybody.
level, laugh, excitement, fun,
Fun,
fun.
love.
Gotta have some fun, people. Come on, let's have some fun. Love, 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 love. All right, you guys. Love you. Bye.